Hey everyone, Dr. Pedram Shojai here at the Health Bridge with Sarah Gottfried MD, who is someone who not only do I get to hang out with virtually, someone I got to see in person after, 2 months this weekend, and it was good to see you. Hi Sarah, welcome.
Hey Pedram, hi everybody. It was super fun hanging out with you at Dave Asprey's Bulletproof Conference. We had a good time.
We did, and we got to see our guest today there as well, and I didn't even know she was going to be there, so it was like super surprise.
Super surprise!
Dr. Jen Landa, who has been a dear friend of ours for years, who has been kind of sex guru, tantress mama to the stars, and is the chief medical officer of a very BodyLogicMD, and a serious doctor and a wonderful human being, and all smiles, is here with us as our guest today on the Health Bridge. Welcome.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It's so awesome to hang out with the two of you. Like you said, we got to hang out this weekend at the Bulletproof event, which was awesome. And it's so awesome to hang out with you here.
Cool. Yeah. What a great event. Hats off to Dave Asprey. He put on a really cool event. If you guys haven't been to the Bulletproof Conference, I think it's an annual thing, and next year don't miss it, because there was a lot of really interesting stuff, and it was kind of a Renaissance type event where it's just what's new and exciting, and that's always new and exciting for me.
And let me just say that Dave Asprey had some amazing pants on. Can I just mention that he had these Special Forces pants that cost like $400. I totally need to get some for my husband, but they were so cool. So you should maybe watch some of the footage. I also want to add
glasses, his amber goggles.
He had his goggles on. He was cutting out the bad light. And, I also just want to add full disclosure that Jen Landa is one of my BFFs. I totally love her. And she's the author of one of my favorite books that helps women get their sex drive back. It's called The Sex Drive Solution for Women. So we're going to be talking today about energy, because that is the foundation of having an amazing sex drive. So Jen, tell us what's going on with energy. Like, why do we have this energy deficit?
There's, it's such a huge topic, and we could go in so many different directions, because right now I think it's clear. You and I, we talk about it all the time, Sarah. Like you said, we're BFFs. We talk about all the stuff that's draining us all the time, because I think women, right? You're in an exhaustion epidemic. Right now, we are more tired than we've ever been before. And I know you listening to this, you've got to be relating to this too, because it's kind of awesome that we live in this time where like feminism took over, and all of our foremothers and sisters broke the way for us, the glass ceiling where, Sarah and I get to be doctors and everything. And that's all awesome. But at the same time, we were told that we should be able to have it all. We should be doctors. We should be moms. We should be, I have 2 kids like Sarah as well, and wives. We're wives, we're moms, we're working doctors.
Hey, wait a minute. I need a wife.
Yeah.
I need a wife. I think that would help a lot if I had a wife.
That could be arranged.
Adam and I, my husband, we talk about that all the time. You totally need a wife. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the problem, that wives, despite the fact that more than half of us are going out to work, we are still responsible for way more than half of the stuff going on at home, right?
Well, in Pedram's house.
Except in Pedram's house. Because he is an awesome house dad.
or he also pays a nanny.
See, he hired a wife.
Yeah, you farm out what you need. I think that's an important point here. But you're right. I mean, we're exhausted. I think Pedram is maybe less exhausted than we are. And there's a cost to kind of this superhuman quality, the super mom, the super wife, the super doctor. There's a cost to it. And I think that's such an important point.
There is. I mean, and I think most women out there are feeling that nowadays. So like for me personally, I lost what I call my spark when I was only 28 years old. So that's kind of odd that I became exhausted. But the very first thing to go was the sex drive. And, I've come to think of it as kind of like the sex drive is like the cherry on top of the icing, on top of the cake, right? Bad analogy for all of us health people maybe, but, but the sex drive, it's it's the last thing to come back and it's the first thing to go. And then what happened to me was then I started to lose my energy, especially after I had my first baby. My energy just never recovered. Even when he started sleeping through the night, I was just exhausted. And so here I am. I've lost my sex drive. I'm feeling guilty as a wife. I feel bad for my husband. Then I have my first kid. I lose my energy, and I felt like I didn't even want to spend time. In all honesty, it was the worst time of my life after having my son. And it's like a horrible thing to admit, but it really was. So if you feel like that out there, please let me know, because it would make me feel a little better. But anyway, it was the hardest time, and my energy really never came back. And then even my work, which had always been the place where I felt like I could really rock, even started to suffer because I started to lose my ability to handle stress. And let's face it, an OBGYN's job is full of, stress at times, especially the emergency C-sections and surgery. And I started to lose my nerve. And that's really what I find is the path that women travel when, they become, they're kind of losing their spark. They lose their sex drive, they lose their energy, they lose their stress tolerance. And I think that's why this is such a huge topic for me. And, so sex drive was the way I was first coming at it, because that was the first thing that I lost. And as an OBGYN was so frustrated that I had no idea how to fix. But what I realized was it was really much more foundational than that. I really had to heal myself from the perspective of healing my mood, my energy, getting back in shape. And only when I had kind of those things mastered was I even remotely interested in sex again.
That's fantastic, and I'm really honored that you're kind of coming clean with all that and sharing that with people, because people feel so guilty about not having a sex drive. It's like, so what's wrong with me? There's something wrong with me, and no one's looking at mitochondrial damage that comes from environmental toxins. No one's looking at adrenal overload and all the stuff that happens that we're trying to now over caffeinate to compensate for our exhaustion, or the foods that we eat and all these other things. And then they're just guilty and upset and creating all these psychological issues for themselves around not having sex drive. And maybe there's something physiological, maybe there's something else wrong.
It's such a good point, because you know what? I don't think I've ever felt more dysfunctional or alone than when I realized that I was 20 years old and didn't want to have sex. And one of the biggest things that I found out for me was really sucking my energy it was adrenal fatigue, like you mentioned, but the adrenal fatigue was really prompted by being on birth control pills. I totally screwed up my hormones, sucked my free testosterone right out. That's what birth control pills can do to some women. And when free testosterone goes low, you have no sex drive. But not only that, you can lose your energy. And on top of it, I was under stress. I was an OBGYN and all of that. And I wasn't handling the stress well. And I didn't know any of the things that I know now that I can do to really avoid excess stress. There's a whole bunch of stressors coming at you from that you don't even realize, like Pedram mentioned, environmental stressors, but way more than just that. Like you said, the food that we eat is a huge part of what's causing us to be stressed out. And you don't realize it because I call it a hidden stressor, a hidden physical stressor. And we've got multiple hidden physical stressors that are going on every day. And I know about your stress that's going on. About your stress from, your demanding boss, or maybe you're not happy in your marriage and there's stress there, or maybe there's stress, believe me, raising teenagers. Oh my gosh. My daughter's 12, my son is 14. I came home from the trip yesterday, visiting with Dave at Bulletproof, which was so awesome. Came home from the trip yesterday, and my babysitter, I walk in the door, she says, "Oh my gosh, they're really on a roll right now. They're not being so good." And of course, that's you're so excited to come home to that. And oh my gosh, within an hour, they're both screaming at each other, and I'm going, oh my gosh, it's a terrible thing that you almost want to turn around and leave. So I know I am being extremely honest right now. But I know that you've had that feeling too. Actually, I watched this TED Talk on the plane on the way home, and it was this woman talking about parents and happiness, and who spending time with who makes them the most happy. It was really amazing. Spending time with your friends makes you the most happy.
Yes.
Your spouse is maybe the next one down. And you keep going down the list. And the scary part was your kids are on the very bottom, and your kids were on the same level as strangers.
Okay, I'm so glad you're raising these points, because I feel like we need to have a more honest conversation about the cost of motherhood, the cost of fatherhood. You know, there's this, it's almost like it's shameful to be honest about how depleting it is to have a baby. I mean, just the physiology alone is one of the reasons why people have postpartum depression and have that energy deficit when they're starting off as a mother. I just want to enunciate that point you made about the birth control pill. You know, you introduced me to Dr. Andrew Goldstein, and I love this outrageous, radical statement that he makes about birth control pills. He says birth control pills are the #1 endocrinopathy that is caused by American doctors worldwide, who are prescribing birth control pills for all different types of reasons, not just contraception, but for the acne, for the painful periods. It shrinks your clitoris up to 20%. It robs you of that free testosterone like a sponge, just like you described. So I really wanted to enunciate that particular point. And then I love this point you're making about the hidden stressors. I think a lot of us don't realize that these hidden stressors add up and add up and add up, and there's this negative synergy that tends to pull us down. The more we can get real and get honest and recognize them, develop the awareness, I think the better off we are.
So I got a quick thing that I want to interject here, just to make sure that I'm tracking with you guys, because I'm the dumb guy in the call here. I'm trying to figure this all out. Is if you guys are listening to this, so there's different tiers, right? Sarah and Jen are both really high functioning, I never see them sit type of medical doctors who are out there charging and have these kind of very big lives. And it's painful to be a career woman and a mom at the same time. And I don't even know how you guys do it, right? So, but I would just, if you guys are listening, go to facebook.com/thehealthbridge and let us know what it's like for you. Because I really want to see what this is like. I'll sit here and as a guy, kind of we could smirk to ourselves and be like, yeah, that must be tough. It's good to be me. But yeah, it just sounds really crappy to be put in a position where you're supposed to be all of it. What did Cynthia say? Like a rock star in the boardroom and a porn star in the bedroom and everything in between, right?
I love that.
Cynthia Pasquello, we love you.
We love you.
So yeah, I just want the audience to kind of feedback with us a little bit on this, because it's really perplexing how the hell you guys do all that you do and still try to keep it together and still try to be soft and feminine and loving for your spouse and there for your kids. It's just my hat's off to you.
Thank you, Pedram. Well, one of the things that always comes up when Sarah and I get together, and what you said just, I think, leads into it so well, is that I think one of the biggest keys to it that Sarah and I have talked about since the first time we met was that self-care is one of the biggest parts of that, and if you're not taking care of yourself, nobody else is going to do it for you. But one of the things that I learned, which really, I'm telling you, this saved my marriage. This is one of the things that I feel is so important for men and women everywhere to know, that if you're feeling resentful about people around you, if you're feeling like everybody's just such a jerk, just all of you get off my back and stop asking me for things. A really interesting reframe that I learned was that when my resentment is high, my self-care is low. So now when I feel, think about that one for a second. Write it down. I'm telling you, this has changed my life. When I was feeling really, very honestly, very resentful in my relationship, I was pretty much downright angry. So number one, there's no way you're having a sex drive when you're downright angry. And this was only a few years ago when I had already kind of gotten to the bottom of my sex drive problem, my energy problem, and all of that. But what I realized, one of the big things that was dragging me down was overdoing, was trying to be everything to everybody, not having good boundaries in place, and really taking on too much of everybody else's stuff around me. and not thereby not taking care of myself. And I see this just over and over and over in women who are, we already stated, we're overwhelmed, we're overworked, we're all of these over things. But then we're all such overachievers and over nurturers that we're, in our effort to be a wonderful, loving, nurturing woman, we are depleting the heck out of ourselves.
This is such a good point, Jen. And I want to, I get to see you at least once a month, maybe twice a month in a really good month. And I want to make this super concrete because I love some of the ways that you have self-care built into your day so that it's not, 9 o'clock at night, you're feeling resentful, you want to punch your husband and you're suddenly thinking, oh, maybe I'm a little low on self-care. One of the things that you've done that I really appreciate is when I've seen you the last couple of months, you really have made an effort and develop the awareness to connect with kind of one person that you're talking to, like be so present with them and not, trying to do 7 things at once. And I really appreciated that one. I was wondering if you have some other tips you can share that, allow you to build in the self-care during your day.
Yeah. One, actually, I've been really working hard to trying to put some sort of meditation practice or deep breathing practice. I always say that spiritual component, really, that's my growth edge, because I'm pretty good with clean eating, pretty good with exercise, but that self-care part, just taking that few minutes has been tough for me to integrate. And, so I try to do just even 10 deep belly breaths twice a day, just really super simple. But one thing I found that I love that I'm adding to it at the Bulletproof Conference this weekend, I'd always heard about heart math and the heart rate variability device. Well, I got it this weekend and I'm so excited because this thing, so Sarah, you'll totally relate to this too. Oh, yeah, yeah, right in your phone. So there's a little device that you attach to your phone and you attach it to your ear and it measures your pulse. And the really cool thing about it though, and Sarah will definitely appreciate this as well, as OBGYNs, the thing that we do when we have a pregnant woman and we're monitoring her is we monitor the baby's heart rate. And the thing that we're looking for is what's called heart rate variability. So when the heart rate beats up and down like this, that's actually much more healthy than if the beats are the same, like 72 beats per minute, 72. If it's the same over and over, it's bad. That shows, and it's a sign of stress. And now they've correlated it in studies to cortisol and that whole stress thing. So if our heartbeat is varying, so from 68 to 72 to, and it keeps going up and down, that's actually much more healthy. So this device can actually look at what your heart rate's doing, and it gives you a breathing pattern so that you can relax and slow your breathing, and it detects if you're in high stress or in low stress based on what's going on with your heart rate variability. And you can actually control it by breathing into your heart, they talk about, and thinking about somebody you love, thinking about a calm and positive feeling. And to me, it's just magical. And it only takes 5 minutes. So to me, that's something new that I just added.
That's a great one. And, Pedram, you and I talked to Ben Greenfield about heart rate variability and how to use that to kind of choose what exercise to do each day, which I think is kind of the next level. And Jen, I love how you actually brought it back to the heart rate variability that you see on a baby's monitor, because that brings Pedram back into our conversation, because he just went through birthing a baby and looking at his son's heart rate variability, right, Pedram?
Yeah, he was wrapped in the cord, so it went from kumbaya, me, and they don't tell you how close you are when they ask you to assist. It was me, my wife, and the nurse, all kumbaya and breathing, and then all of a sudden, 9 people in scrubs came running in, and it went into suction land, and let's get this baby out now, and it was just like, whoa, that's different, and he was stressed, right? He was choking, and so thank God he's fine and all is well, but. I now watch for his stress at all moments and watch how to keep him in homeostasis so he could be a happy baby and grow brain instead of shrink brain based on, attitude and mood. Because, yeah, I mean, most people we know are busy shrinking brain and growing gut.
Don't shrink your brain and grow your gut. That's the message today.
Yeah, so, as a new father, for me, it's been tough, right? Trying to find, the sleep balance and all these types of things. And, I don't even have all that stuff on me. Like, you guys have so much more on you to, like, also be the mom and also be nourishing and all that. So what does a mom gotta do if she's going to be professional and she also wants to, kind of hold that mom avatar and do the things that she needs to do to kind of, feel like she was there for her children? Like, how do you find that balance, guys?
So to me, what I'm looking at is back to those hidden physical stressors. So we've talked a lot about a lot of the stressors that we know we have, right? That emotional stuff coming at us, being moms, being working women, etc. But there's hidden physical stressors that are stressing you out that you don't realize are happening. And the cool thing is once you get those under control, then you're really able to deal with all the rest of the stress much easier. So that's what I was talking about in terms of eating. Like in terms of clean eating, I can't stress enough how important that is. So to me, one of the number one things that you need to do every day, now you've heard about this before, but you maybe never realized it in terms of your energy, is eating within an hour of waking up and making sure that you get protein within an hour of waking up. That is one of the most important things to do because blood sugar ups and downs are one of those hidden physical stressors that we're talking about. When
That's
your blood
awesome.
sugar, so when your blood sugar goes up, right, it crashes. But when you've not eaten, hopefully you've laid in bed all night and not gone out and grabbed a snack. You've slept all night. You're essentially fasting, right? And you have low blood sugar when you wake up in the morning. If you don't eat until noon or 1 o'clock, which I hear too many people tell me, and so if you're not eating till noon or 1 o'clock, your blood sugar is staying low. And that is completely messing up your cortisol, your insulin. It's wreaking all kinds of havoc. So besides causing you to gain weight, it's also causing your stress reaction to kick in. And your stress reaction is your cortisol, right? Your cortisol helps you handle stress. Your body sees low blood sugar as an emergency situation, a fight or flight situation. So it's going to demand cortisol. Well, the problem is you need your cortisol to deal with your boss, to deal with your teenage kids if you're like me. You need your cortisol for so many other things. And you don't want to spend that cortisol capital that you have fighting low blood sugar. And I know this message is a little different for people because I know we talk, Sarah, you and me and Pedram, we talk about high cortisol a lot. And we talk about cautioning people against high cortisol. So people say to me, oh, my cortisol being low, Dr. Jen, isn't that good? And I say, no. Cortisol is like a Goldilocks thing. Too much is no good, too little is no good. So whether you have too much is a state I call burning out. Rather burning up, I'm so sorry. Having too much cortisol, I call burning up. So you're making lots and lots of cortisol to help you deal with stress. And lucky you still have enough adrenal reserve to make lots of cortisol to keep up with stress. But that's not a good thing because that can put more weight on you and make you irritable and cranky and trouble sleeping and all of that. But then if you burn up for long enough, you get to the stages that I call burning low and burning out. And that's when your body doesn't keep up with making enough cortisol to help you keep up with your stress. So either way, you want to decrease demand on the adrenals. And one of the big ways to do that is to get off this sugar roller coaster. And one of the best ways to do it, especially starting off in the morning, is getting protein when you wake up in the morning, because that's going to help raise your blood sugar, but not too fast. And it's going to help keep it steady as you go on through your day.
Love it. Totally love it. I also appreciate so much that eating within 30 to 60 minutes of getting up helps you with your leptin. And I think in a future show, we should talk about leptin, the hunger hormone. Now, Jen, for people who want to learn more about you and learn more about these amazing online programs you have to help people restore their energy, what's the best URL for them to go to?
3 weeks to endlessenergy.com. 3 weeks to endlessenergy.com. So I set up a 3-week program for people where they can learn what the hidden physical stressors are so they can really optimize how they're living without having to, now you have to deal with the stressors, of course, as well, and you have to put in those boundaries and all that stuff we were talking about. But I find that that's something that people have a really hard time with sometimes, and then putting in the relaxation techniques. So what I teach people is how to deal with the hidden physical stressors so that you have more cortisol reserve left over to deal with the stresses of your day. And
Great.
3 weeks to endlessenergy.com is the place people can go to get more info.
Love it.
Fantastic. Jen, Landa, you are awesome. Keep fighting that good fight. Teenagers are tough, but you're tougher. You're going to do this.
You can do it.
You can do it.
I'm working it.
And she's the one I will consistently see at the gym first thing in the morning, every conference. She's my gym buddy, so she's doing it. And now with HeartMath,
I love my gym buddy.
That's it. So good to have you on the show. Looking forward to more, and hopefully we'll see you in person soon.
Thanks so much, you guys. It's been awesome. Always
Great
love
to
getting
have you.
together with you.
Love you, Jen. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us, and let us know what you think about the show. Let us know about some of the challenges you have with energy at facebook.com/thehealthbridge.
Got it. All right. See you next time.